Delighted to be joined by Willie Mullins. Willie, massively busy time for a very busy day today. You've got Galloping de Champ in behind. He'll be joining us in and out of the interview. Just reflecting very quickly, Dublin Racing Festival, very successful again.
We had a fantastic Dublin Racing Festival. Everything went great. It was Leopardstown had prepared so well for it. We got a massive foreign crowd, people in from England, and it added hugely to the atmosphere and the occasion.
Patrick, I'll say, would you still get just as nervous, say, before a race, a big race, particularly if you've something that's got a decent chance, as you always did?
Yeah, look, there's a nervous tension, but I suppose the older you get, the more you've experienced something. It's not a new sensation. We're used to going over there now with lots of big chances and lots of pressure, so you don't really feel it as much anymore. It's what we're used to.
One of the big successes was some of your novice hurdlers, especially Final Demand. You must have been delighted with it.
Yeah, I mean, we had two fantastic novice hurdlers, Final Demand and Copec de Boards, winning. One won the 2 mile and one won the 2 miles and 6. And both of them looked real top drawer. Delighted to be able to come to a Champions Festival like Dublin Racing Festival and win with them.
And with Final Demand, plans firm?
I imagine Final Demand will go for the Turners, that what most people would know as the Ballymore Hurdle. 2 miles and 5 around Cheltenham up that hill. It'll be tough. Looks like he will have no problem running in that type of race. Just hope that he can win it now. And then Copec de Board would look supreme novice hurdle material. That's the 2 mile race, and his performance, I thought the other day, was really fantastic. He didn't help Paul. He ran away with him 2 or 3 times during the race, and the loose horse came and ran up behind him and, set him alight, which is not what you would want in a race for a top class horse. But he ran away with him going to the second last and still managed to have enough in reserve up the straight to go away and win convincingly. To me, that was a huge performance.
It was very impressive. And comparing that then today to Salvador Mundi, a different type of performance from him last time out, but one that looked like it might be well suited to Cheltenham.
Yeah, I think Salvador Mundi, his race wasn't as deep in Punchestown, but it was the manner that he did it. He looked beaten at the second last and then got his second wind and produced a quick finish to win convincingly for me that he deserves to take his chance.
In the Supreme? In
the Supreme, yes.
Very good. A couple to ask you about. Cowabunga was in that race with Copec de Board.
Cowabunga ran very well the other day, second to Copec de Board at Christmas, and won since, and that looked good enough for me. He actually could go for either race. He could go for the Supreme or the Turners.
Okay. Kisswill as well, just the last of the ones we'll ask about.
Kisswill ran out a convincing winner in Fairyhouse. We'll go to Cheltenham. I'm not sure which event it'll be, the Supreme or the Turners.
And then the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, obviously, Maureen.
Maureen won in Punchestown the other day, her first run ever over hurdles. I was very impressed with how she jumped. She jumped like an old stager, and she obviously has an engine. So, I'm looking forward to her in the Mayor's Hurdle.
You're getting a lot of love from Galloping there, as you can see.
Yeah, he's very inquisitive, very nosy.
He's a gentleman, isn't he?
He loves, yeah.
Novice chasers, Madgeborough was very impressive last time.
Madgeborough was very impressive in Leopardstown. Yeah. I think he learned a lot there. He met a lot of his jumps wrong, going down the back, going down by the railway in Leopardstown, and he still managed to put in a quick one, adjusted himself and got over them. Then when he needed a jump at the third last, which is a regulation, one of the biggest fences on the course, probably the biggest fence on the course, he just went down and absolutely winged it and put the race to bed, I think, then. Very, very taken with him.
And just with Madgeborough taking on Sergino?
Madgeborough goes for the Arkle, takes on Sergino. It's probably set up to be one of the races of the festival. I think it's one of the races that most people are looking forward to watching and being there to see, because Sergino looks a real natural over fences, whereas our fellow probably is a horse that's only making himself. But if the same Sergino that was in Kempton turns up in Cheltenham, it's going to be a hell of a race.
A few to ask you about in the Champion Chase, obviously. Gaelic Warrior, a little disappointing so far.
Gaelic Warrior was a little disappointing. We will see over the next couple of weeks which direction he will go. He might go out to the Ryanair, who knows.
El Fabiola?
El Fabiolo is another one that probably needs a longer trip at this stage of his career. He would look more Ryanair material as well, I think.
El Fabiolo is a funny one. I have no doubt he has more ability than John Bon. And that doesn't mean he's a better racehorse than John Bon, because John Bon is obviously better at jumping and settling and being professional. But I think ability-wise, he has it to win the Champion Chase. What's going to be fascinating with El Fabiolo is that's the first time he's fallen. He didn't fall in the Champion Chase last year. So will he learn from that fall? I mean, you saw it with Galloping des Champs. He got the fall in Cheltenham and it transformed him. He became much more relaxed and much better at jumping. So if the fall transforms him, he could still be a Champion Chase horse, but I've no doubt 2-5 is well within his radar. You know, this year, John Munn is obviously deserves to be favoured, incredible racehorse, but at Cheltenham, he's gettable. Well, that's what we have to believe, and I think that's what we think. So it's probably the most open of all the big races.
And then Energumen.
Energumen loves Cheltenham. I'm hoping the ground will be much softer in Cheltenham than it was in Ascot. I think John Bon probably likes Ascot and probably likes nicer ground. To give us a chance of beating John Bon, I think we need probably a nice wet week before Cheltenham, and that would suit Energumen.
So the Champion Hurdle, Stateman.
I've got two runners in the Champion Hurdle. I've got Stateman and Lossiemouth. A lot of people are wondering, will Lossiemouth go for the Mayor's Hurdle? But at the moment, in my mind and in my owner's mind, I think we're going for the Champion Hurdle. We've been preparing for this for 2 years. Stateman and Lossiemouth took each other on in Leopardstown the other day. Unfortunately, Lossiemouth made a mistake and fell, and lucky enough she didn't bring down Stateman. So what looked like it was going to be a fantastic race, a good spectacle, with 7 furlongs to run, turned into a non-event because Lossiemouth fell and Stateman just did what he had to do, was win.
He's a very lazy horse, so Paul turned the engine off. He's on his own for the last 6 furlongs. Of course he's going to just do that, you know. He's the Champion Hurdler. For me, he still sets the standard. The Mayor has to get by him, but they both got to get by Constitution Hill.
It's going to be some race, isn't it?
If they all turn up, I mean, if Brighter Days Ahead turns up with her pacemaker, that makes it a really fascinating race. But obviously, the last time Constitution Hill got a ferocious gallop was his best ever performance in the Supreme.
Yeah.
So does that make him better as well?
Your juvenile hurdlers, Lady Vega Allen, Willie Duell, St. Lucie.
Yeah, we've a nice bunch of juvenile hurdlers, but it's going to be a tough ask this year. Nicky Henderson's Lula Lamba looks the one to beat. Lady Vega Allen ran well enough for me. She'll improve. I think the track in Cheltenham will suit her better. St. Lucie disappointed me. She boiled over, and boiling over before the race and during the race, boiling over in Leopardstown is not good when you're taking on the crowd and the atmosphere in Cheltenham. She has the ability, I think, but she would need to overcome her apprehension before the race. She has the ability if we can get her there in the right frame of mind. Willie Duell, we changed tactics with him in Leopardstown and he ran a lot better, but he would probably look more like a Boodle's horse than the Triumph Hurdle horse. Very
good. And then the Brown Advisory you mentioned earlier on, the likes of Dancing City and Lecky Watson as well? Or?
In the Brown Advisory Chase, we could have 3 runners. I think the top one would be Ballyburn. We went out in trip in Leopardstown and he won well. I was happy enough with how he jumped, and I think his pedigree suggests that he'll be better over a longer trip. He'll want to settle a little bit better than he did the other day, but I think the fact that he ran over a sharp 2 miles in Kempton, where Paul had to really get after him and sharpen him up. Then we have Dancing City, who I described, I think, as a 4-wheel drive horse after his win in Naas, because the ground was so soft and heavy. And I think going out at 3 miles will, the extra 3 miles and 1 will suit him. And I really hope he gets soft ground, because that'll bring out the best in him. Lecky Watson has his chance. He probably has a little bit to find on the top ones in the race, but when a horse has a chance, you have to go.
Yeah.
And I'm always a believer in giving a horse a chance, and if you're not in, you can't win. You know, we've had plenty of horses to win in Cheltenham at 25 to 1 or 33 to 1, and Lecky Watson comes into that category, so he has his chance.
Gold Cup, Ryanair, we've obviously got Galloping des Champs, Factifile, even Grange Clare West started to run the other day.
In the Gold Cup, Galloping des Champs is the one we're all hoping we get. First of all, we've got to get there, then things have to go right, and hopefully he has a favourite chance, you know, so we're really looking forward to that.
He's so chilled out, and Adam Connolly looks after him and rides him out every day, and he's a huge part of the story. He minds him like a baby. But again, what I was saying earlier, what made him was the fall in Cheltenham. He used to run a bit too keen, he used to jump a little bit too bravely, and since that fall he's become the ultimate professional. And to be a Gold Cup horse, a 3 Mile 2 horse, you need a horse that's professional, that settles, that jumps, and he just does all that. You can ride him any way you want. Paul bounces out. If something wants to go fast on him, he can sit second or third. If not wants to go on, he can make the running. Tactically, he's so easy to ride, and that's not the case with every horse. So, you know, when you look at Fact to File and you're trying to, like, you have to drop him out because you want to settle him, or he's jumping so well, you're trying to take him back. Whereas Galloping Champ's just, he's in a rhythm.
We've also got Fact to File in the race, along with Grangeclear West, who ran a cracker in the Irish Gold Cup. Fact to File, we changed tactics with him in the Irish Gold Cup, and it didn't work out, I think. I think we could change tactics again, and then maybe he could be a Gold Cup horse. He stays in the Gold Cup because, you know, he's one of the better Gold Cup horses from Ireland, but he's also in the Ryanair, and let's see what happens in the weeks coming up to the Gold Cup. But probably at this point in time, people would maybe say he should be looking at the Ryanair. That's where he is. Grangeclear West surprised me in the Irish Gold Cup, ran a cracker, and you'd have to say he's worth his chance in the Gold Cup. However, he holds an entry in the Grand National, and we'll see what weight he has before we decide.